All right, so morning everyone. I'm Derek Waterman doing the webinar today on problem POs and disputed invoices. I'm going to delay just a little bit longer before I get actually started to make sure nobody else is popping in. Okay, so for a few more administrative items, there is a chat option on the screen at the bottom of your, it might be at the bottom or the top, depending on how your program is set up, that will allow you to send questions. So go ahead and pop your questions on there. As I'm doing this, I'll look at it periodically and see if I can answer the questions as they come along. But at the end, I'll save some time to kind of go through them all to make sure that I've got all your questions answered. And then I'll allow people to see the questions and might spark another question or prevent multiple questions on the same item from coming in. So we'll get started now. You'll see me reach over and click periodically, and that's just to admit more in. I turn on an option that requires me to admit, and I don't know how to turn that off. I'd like to welcome you to the problem orders and disputed invoices webinar. The problem orders will take up the bulk of it. Disputed invoices will happen much quicker. We got a question on if this will include the manufacturer side. Yes, the Oasis version I'm running right now is the rep version, but the process runs the same on the manufacturer side. In essence, it's just looking at it from a different point of view. So first off, for orders, when you have a problem order, we're assuming that what constitutes a problem order is dependent on your agency's criteria. It could be something that's impacting the bottom line, impacting your ability to win or continue to work on a project. It could be impacting the financial nature to the company, where you could be losing money. It could be something that's going to cause a principal to get called. Whatever criteria you guys set to deem an order a problem order is fully up to each agency. Once you deem an order as a problem order, then I'll show you how to kind of set that up. So I've created an order yesterday that I'm going to use for my training. It's a commissioned order here, and it's going to my manufacturer number 2 in my database, and it's getting sold to my favorite customer. And it has just a couple of items on it, just for simplicity. The problem order section is the tab here that says problems with an exclamation point. Something you'll note, after I turn on a problem, it will turn red. So if you ever open an order and this tab is red, it is a problem order. It's the problem function has been used on the order. So first off, you'll click on problems, and you'll see a button that says new problem. And that's all that'll be on this tab, since it's the first time that it's been used. So when you press a new problem, you get a pop-up that's going to first ask for follow-up, because this is going to assign notes to a specific person for their action. So I only have 2 users in this database, but hypothetically you would have all your users there. I'm logged in as myself, so I'll just leave it at that, but you can select another person. On the description line, that's just a short description on the of the problem, just something to kind of catch your eye on what this problem is. And in this case, I'm going to say that I forgot what the items were, but we'll say it's a wrong ship address. something happened during this order and it went to the wrong one, and we want to identify a problem to get it resolved. In the problem notes section, you could add more description. So I'm just going to type a handful of characters just so you see what it looks like, and then press OK. Next, it'll ask, and this is not required, you could hit cancel, who contacted you to identify the problem, or it could be who did you call. It doesn't matter how it happened, but did it come from a manufacturer or did it from the customer? Because my manufacturer, I haven't preloaded any contacts, I didn't have them on there, but I could just click add contact and make a contact from the manufacturer that will now be available for future calls and transactions with that specific manufacturer. My favorite customer has James T. Kirk assigned to it. I could also add another one just like here, but in this case, I'm going to choose James T. Kirk. So it creates a blocked off section that says wrong ship address. So this is one problem on this order. It was initiated by me on January 26th, and it was a result from a call talking with the contact and my customer on this date. And here's the text that I entered. If there are multiple problems on an order, you can create a new one. So this is not more data on this problem. This is a whole new problem, because you can have multiple problems on as many problems as, hopefully you have no problems, but if there's a problem order that has lots of problems, you can have a lot of them on there. And let's say it's some broken parts arrived. Again, more information. And I'll just set that to demo just to show you. And I'll go ahead and add a Bob Smith, and his email is bob.smith@mfg2.com. So now Bob's in our database for future transactions, but I'm going to tie it to Bob Smith. All right, and so now I've got that more information. So you'll notice that I'm logged in, so I've initiated the problem, but the call, I assigned that call, came in through demo user who was talking with Bob Smith at Manufacturer 2, and more information on there. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close just to be able to show you another function. The first one is I'm going to go to home, and on your home screen, normally you go to the welcome screen, but it'll highlight this problem POs section, yellow, to denote that I have problems. I had already had this one on another training session set up, so it had already been there, but here's the one that's there. And so you can use that to go straight to get problem orders. That listing right there will show them to you. Here's also showing you that the problems is listed here in red. And then another place to look is in the order section. You can use find, and on the more tab, you can search for problems or resolved problems, and I'll show you how to resolve them in just a second. And then the quickest way is over here on the right, show me all my problem orders. It's just by clicking problem orders. So let me go back into this one. Again, it's red, and it has my 2 problems on there. So let's say we're moving forward and the broken parts, we had an update on that one. So I can click add follow-up, and I can say that on this broken parts issue, a demo user originally talked to Bob Smith, but now I've talked to him and we worked out a replacement option, and customer is happy. In this case, actually, I'm not going to say that yet. I'll do that on the next one. So we worked out a replacement option, and I'm going to click OK, and it's with Bob Smith. And so now you'll see the chain of discussions that's going on. And now I'll say the customer is happy, because at this point we've got confirmation that it's resolved and taken care of. And so I'm going to mark it as resolved. Again, I can say who I was talking to, and you'll see it takes away that whatever color, peachish color that you want to call it, because now this one is resolved. It's still going to show as red because I have the other problem. It'll also show, misclick. It'll also still show here. But it now will show here under resolved problems because I have a resolved problem on it. This one is, again, like I said, still active, and you can eventually resolve it. I'm just going to, for the sake of training, put resolved. I'm going to not click a customer in this case. Oh, cancel. And now it's going to leave it, so you can ignore the customer. You just got to click cancel, and it just won't put any on there if you're not wanting to show any problems or any contacts with it. Hit save and close, and you'll see this is that other problem one that I have, but the one that we just did is no longer showing up on problem orders, no longer showing up here. But now I can still find it under resolved problem. And the tab is no longer red because the problems have been taken care of. Some people might want to do a report or show on this screen various information. So some reporting that you can do on problems, say you want to make a list if you have a lot of them. You could go under reports, customizable order listing. And there was another webinar on reporting, so I won't go into all the details of this report. But that webinar is available to watch, and we have video knowledge base shows lots on this report. But in general, under the selection is where you choose what you're looking for. And this selection was the same as this find tab that I had earlier. And the more tab has both problem and resolve problem. I'm going to turn them both on. Oh, it's because it's looking for a problem and resolve problem. Yeah, I guess I can't do it that way. So let me just do it this way. All right, it's not going to pull up the one that we had because we resolved it, but it's got that old one that I got on there. So now it's found the one problem order in our database. And if you want to view the text that's related to the problem, that is an available field down under here under problem, problem date, and problem detail. One thing to note on this is if you add them to columns on the report, those fields can get very extensive. So I'll show you what I mean. If we put them into columns on the report, and I say, okay, print preview, print, you'll see that it's going to cut them off. And you'd have to set the columns pretty large to fit on a page. If you're going to Excel, that's not a problem because it's real easy to Excel to expand them. But if you're going to a PDF, we recommend, instead of doing it in columns, do it down here in this rows section. I'm going to remove the other rows and move these down here. And we also recommend adding a row break between each one in case you have multiple lines on, like where I entered information and I hit return to go to a new line for multiple lines. It allows you to, it'll add those carriage returns, for lack of a better word, onto that report so you can see them. And so again, this was the other problem order, so it's not going to be the same information. But so here's the problem, and I called it a new problem, and it was the second problem on that order, so I called it another problem in my explanation of it. I had done the work back in August, so it's back in August. Oh wow, 2020. Felt like it was just yesterday. So it's listed both dates that I did the editing, but if there's multiple edits, it would list all those dates, and then the problem detail and who I was talking to and so forth on there. So that's how you can bring them up in reports. You can also, in this listing, under File Preferences, you have the ability to add problem, the problem date if you needed to sort by the problem date. So let's say you click the problem orders and you got like 50 of them, and you're wanting to look at the oldest problem, then that allows you to sort by problem date. In fact, let me go back to uh, 987. This is the one. Let me just go back in here and unresolve it, because let's say the customer came back and has more issues on this wrong ship address, so we can unresolve it as opposed to a new order, which would, or I'm sorry, a new problem would have clicked there. So I hit save and close, and then now do problem orders. And so this is what I mean. You'll be able to sort by problem date if you want to check the oldest or review the oldest ones first or the most recent ones first. And I might as well go ahead and show you what, since I got this back on order or back on the problems, I'll just show you real quick what the one that we created would look like. P's. Oop, I grabbed the wrong thing. Not account number. Right. So that's just to get, so you can see what it looked like with what I listed before. All right, the last thing I'll show you for the problem orders is you do have this thing called responsibility. If you need to track any monetary value, so let's say it's the wrong ship address and there's a $500 reshipping fee for whatever reason, and in the course of discussions, it's determined that the agency and the factory are going to share the costs, whatever the ratio that works out on it is. You can track that there. You can also, right now I'm getting 100% of the commission on this, but if there was an impact to commission, I could say that the full cost is going towards me to get pulled out on my commissions for account report. So that's not used very much. We haven't seen a lot of people use that. It's usually just absorbed by somebody external to Oasis, like it's just handled in the books separate, but that is a function that is available. So now I'm going to move to invoices to do disputed invoices. So on the invoice side, actually what I'll do is I'll just invoice this order. would be the easiest thing. So I'm going to do File, New, File, New Invoice Like, create an invoice. It's going to be for all the parts. And I'll call it dispute training. And I think I got everything on there. I'm not going to deal with shipping or anything on that. I'll let it change the order to invoice. So now I can go over here and we've created the invoice. And a little bit later, let's see, we're expecting $1477.50 on this, and manufacturer 2 sends you a check for $1450. Well, I'll make it more than that. I'll say 12. They send you $1,200. So there's a substantial amount that was shorted, and you would like to dispute that with the manufacturer that you thought you were going to get more commission out of this. So so the way you can handle the dispute is you can either, while you're doing the payment process, go ahead and do the payment and then go find the invoices that were short, or while you got the check and you look at it and you think it's short, you then searched for the PO number or the invoice and pulled it up and said, now I want to start a dispute. 2 ways to get to it. But once you eventually get to the invoice and it's open and you're ready to start the dispute, you click on the disputed tab. And the first thing you got is the left section is dealing with the actual dispute, where you're wanting to rebuttal to the manufacturer on the amount that you get. And then the right section is disabled initially, but it's where the resolution comes into. So first I'm going to say it's disputed, and the person who disputed it, I'm just going to choose me, but you can choose whoever's on it. And I think I said 1,200, so I'll say I'm disputing $277.50 in earnings, and I can type any notes on this. I'm going to hit save and close just to let me find. I'm trying to get rid of the invoice from yesterday. So, well, let me just reset the screen. All right, so now I have no invoices on here. If I do a search for disputed, now the invoice shows up because I have a dispute. Same thing under find. I could do a find for disputed right here to get all your disputed invoices. You'll see that disputes will now turn yellow to denote that it has a dispute on it. It has the information still on there. And if I ever need to send a note to the manufacturer on this invoice, you can now click note, and it will allow you to address it to the, in this case, it's assuming manufacturer 2. It pulls the notes over that are from here to here, but you can edit them if you have more expanded details, or if you want to change the internal language to something more external. And you hit OK. I had it set to PDF, so let me save that. And so now I've got a note, invoice commission request, saying that that the amount that was invoiced is $29,550, and here's the breakdown of what I'm expecting to get, as well as the breakdown of the parts, the totals, and my notes. So if you're wanting to, use this to send it off to the manufacturer to try to get the rest of your money, you can do that. It also, this popped up on the side right after I hit print, but it also does a follow-up, a default follow-up for you. On other trainings, we went over follow-ups, but this is going to add a notification, a reminder to somebody in Oasis to follow up on this. So it defaults with a description and this further details, but you can still change it. You can choose the date that you want the follow-up to occur on or after. I think it's default of 3 days. or I guess no, it'd be 5 days. And you can choose who to send it to. I want the reminder to come to me, to everybody in my work group, to everybody in the database, or select users. I'm going to choose select users. And then you get a pop-up of which user. In this case, I'm going to assign it to demo user. So now that creates a follow-up. So on the 31st, it will pop up on that user's login. After they log into the database, it'll give them a pop-up saying you've got, you need to follow up on this dispute. So we'll flash forward to resolution. To initiate the resolution, you just mark it as resolved. It default put over here who created it as a default, but you can still adjust that, and you can adjust the date that it was resolved. It put in today's date, but you can change that if it was resolved on a different date. And you can determine what was the resolution. So let's say in the dispute, you find out it was an error on the agency's part, and that you won't be getting the extra commission, and you determined it was maybe a CSR error. So you can denote that it's a CSR internal to the agency. Again, you can write more notes. And now it's no longer going to show up on disputed. Go back to today to open it, and you'll see that the tab is grayed out now. It's not yellow. It's like a darker gray to let you know there's something there, but it's not yellow to pull your eyes to it. The same similar situation can occur that we did on the report side with the orders for problem orders, but instead you're doing a customizable invoice listing. This selection pulls up the same thing that pulled up when I clicked on find earlier, and it has disputed. I guess I got to redispute this because actually it won't show since I resolved it. So stand by a second. Let me make sure it shows as disputed. Yep. All right. Go back in here. Show me all my disputed invoices. Oh, I guess I forgot I had another one in there for training, so it'll get both of them. And here's your fields for that. This one is okay for a column because it's just kind of a yes, no. But just like on the problem POs, you could have more information on these. So I guess amount, I grabbed deposit. I guess amount could fit up there. We'll take a look here. I'm going to remove one of these. I'll move that one. PDF. So this is the one that we just did, dispute training. It's disputed, yes or no, disputed amount. So obviously, if you're doing a report that doesn't just look for disputed invoices, if it includes others, you could use that column to try to find them. The amount that we're disputing and the notes that were on there. And I believe that covers both of those. So I'll go ahead and open it up for any questions that you might have. What I'd like to do, just in case there's a lot of questions, is there a way? Yeah, I still got it set where you can unmute yourself. So go ahead and if you have any questions, go ahead and ask away. If I get a lot, then I'll sort out who goes first. All right, that may mean I either did really well or is very boring. It's not that popular of a topic because it's just a simple section that not a lot of people use, so it's totally understandable if there's no questions. So in lack of any questions, does anybody have any questions while you have me. Doesn't have to be over disputed POs or invoices.